I would like to formally welcome you all to Chippenham Town Council's Strategy and Resource Committee meeting. Please may I remind everyone that this public meeting is being streamed to YouTube and will be available there in the public domain for a period of 6 months. Can I remind all councillors to use their microphones when speaking and to raise their hand clearly and keep it raised when voting. Please ensure you are respectful of others in attendance at this meeting. We have received no written public questions in advance of the meeting. Please can officers confirm if there are any other members of the public present who have indicated they wish to speak?
There are none, Chair.
In which case we can start the meeting. So item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence. To receive apologies for absence, can officers confirm if we have received any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Fiona McIntosh due to being on holiday. Thank you.
And item 2, notification of substitution. To receive any notifications of substitution made to the Chief Executive, please can officers confirm if we have received any substitutions?
No substitutions, Chair.
Item 3, declarations of interest. All members of the Town Council are reminded to declare any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests they may have in any business of the Council, its committees or subcommittees in accordance with the latest approved Code of Conduct. Councillors are reminded to declare any dispensation granted in relation to any relevant matter. Are there any declarations of interest? Looks like none. In which case we move on to item 4, which is the minutes, which you'll find on pages 5 to 10. To receive the draft minutes of the Strategy and Resource Committee held on the 8th of April 2026, copies are attached. Minutes require a proposer and a seconder for approval. Are there any comments to be made in relation to the accuracy of the minutes? Not seeing any. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Owen? And do we have a seconder? Councillor Donoff. I'll move to the vote. Please, can I have all those councillors in favour? Against? And any abstentions? So they have been approved. Move on to item 5, which is Chair's announcements. To receive any announcements from the Chair. So on this occasion, I am going to have a Chair's announcement. As the position of Chair for S&R is gained by being selected as the leader of the Council, I would like to take the opportunity to thank councillors for their support and to say that I am honoured to serve as the leader of this Council and look forward to advancing the important work that we do both in this chamber and in the wider Chippenham community. Thank you. Moving on to item 6, subcommittee minutes. So Civics Subcommittee. To receive the draft minutes from the extraordinary Civic Subcommittee meeting held on the 28th of April 2026 previously circulated. The Finance Subcommittee. To receive the draft minutes from the Finance Subcommittee held on the 7th of April 2026 previously circulated. Item 7, appointment of complaints panel. To appoint 3 councillors to sit on the complaints panel for 2026-2027. So the purpose of this panel is to assist in the complaints process as specified in the complaints policy. And as per Standing Order 5.7, it is customary for the Chair of S&R, myself, to fill a place and chair this panel. But for the remaining 2 places, could I ask for any nominations from councillors to be appointed to this panel? Are there any nominations?
I'll volunteer, Chair, if anyone wants to nominate me.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said then.
I said I'll volunteer if anyone wants to nominate me.
All right, I was going to say exactly the same. So
Deputy
I
Leader.
nominate Councillor Bragg and Councillor Cousins.
Okay, can I have a seconder? Would anybody else be interested in this? In which case, with two people to fill two spots, that's Councillor Bragg and Councillor Cousins, and myself. All in favour? There we go, unanimous. Moving on to item 8, year-end accounts for 2025-26. You'll find this on pages 11 to 20 of your agenda pack. To receive and consider a report from the Director of Finance, responsible financial officer, RFO, regarding the year-end process and financial information, as well as the annual governance and accountability return, the AGAR, copy attached.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, councillors. This report presents the Council's year-end financial position for 25-26 and outlines the governance and audit processes that now follow. The Council is required to complete and submit its annual governance and accountability return, known as the AGAR, which is subject to both internal and external audit review. The external audit will be undertaken by PKF Littlejohn following approval by full Council on the 17th of June. As part of this process, there will be a 30 working day public inspection period during which local electors have the opportunity to review the Council's accounts and raise any matters with the external auditor. The Council's internal auditors, Accounting Solutions, have completed their work for the year and have provided a positive assurance opinion. They concluded that in all significant respects of the Council's controlled objectives were achieved throughout the financial year to a standard adequate to meet the authority's needs. From a financial perspective, the Council has ended the year in a strong and stable position. The revenue budget outturn produced a surplus of 3,484 and a general reserves stand at 803,316, which is just under our 25% of the annual precept, but remains in line with Council policy. In addition, the capital and earmark reserves totaled 2.52 million, providing significant resources for our future projects and commitments. Councillors should note that the detailed financial statements have not yet been received from the Council's external accountants, DCK Accounting Solutions, due to illness within their team. I've been assured that this will be provided and completed for consideration by full Council on the 17th of June. The committee is therefore asked to note the year-end process and recommend to full Council both the annual governance statement and the accounting statements for 25-26 are approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Gillian. So just to reiterate, the offers of recommendations for this are councillors to note the report and the year-end process, councillors to recommend to full Council on 17th of June 2026 that the individual statements contained with the annual government statement 2025-26 are confirmed, the financial figures contained within the accounting statements 2025-26 are confirmed. Are there any comments or questions from councillors? Councillor Nonoff?
Thank you, Chair. Just a question, given the final accounts aren't ready yet but will hopefully be with us on the 17th, will there be a chance to see them prior to the full Council, or is that literally the deadline and we're going to be in for a surprise on that day?
The financial statements will go out with the agenda pack, so you will have them before the Council meeting to look through.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, we're being asked to actually approve these now, though we can't actually see it. Is that appropriate?
You're being asked to approve these to full Council. These figures just to go to full Council. So these figures have been audited by our financial team. It's been through the external auditor, our external auditor and internal auditor. So I can guarantee that these figures are correct and these do form part of the financial statements.
So what exactly is missing?
So along with the AGAR, we produce what we call a full set of financial statements, which is our really big pack of financial statements. So the AGAR is what we legally have to provide. But on top of the AGAR, we produce a full pack of detailed financial statements, which is what's missing at the moment. But they are not needed for the AGAR because the figures are already there.
And the AGAR is the only bit that's actually missing.
No. So the AGARs are in the pack. That's what you're approving to send to full council at the moment, the AGAR. The full detailed financial statements is the next bit that will be there with you in full council.
Thank you.
Councillor Owen?
Thank you, Chair. As I understand it, it's effectively the detail behind these high-level figures that will be available to us at a later date, isn't it? That it won't change the position that's on this AGAR. It is just the information behind it, as far as I understand. Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, are we content to move to a vote with this one? Do I have a proposer? Councillor Owen, and seconder, Councillor Nonoff. So I'll move to the vote. Please can I have all those councillors in favour? That's unanimous. So move on to item 9, which is delegation of financial responsibility to spending officers. You'll find this in your pack pages 21 to 24. To receive and consider a report from the Director of Finance, RFO, regarding updates to the delegation of financial responsibility to spending officer policy. A copy is attached.
Thank you, Chair. This report seeks the approval of a minor amendment to the Council's delegation of financial responsibility policy, which is reviewed annually and was last adopted in September 25. The purpose of the policy is to ensure that officers have the appropriate delegated authority to place orders and approve expenditure within agreed limits, whilst maintaining strong financial controls and compliance with the Council's standing orders, financial regulations and procurement strategy. Councillors should note there are no changes proposed to the existing spending limits. The only amendment is the addition of the CCTV supervisor to Tier 4 of the delegation framework, allowing expenditure authorisation up to 1,000 in line with other supervisory roles across the organisation. The report also reiterates that all expenditure must be within approved budgets, procurement thresholds must be continued to be observed, and officers must not circumvent approval levels by splitting purchases into smaller amounts. Any variance between committees, capital or revenue budgets or earmarked reserves will continue to require full council approval. There are no additional financial, staffing, equality or climate or legal implications arising from this change. That is purely only an administrative update to an existing policy. The committee is therefore asked to approve the inclusion of the CCTV supervisor within the Tier 4 of the Delegated Officer Expenditure Authorisation Framework. Thank you, Chair.
So are there any comments or questions from councillors on this report? Okay, if you're happy, then we can move to the officer recommendation. So the recommendation is for councillors to agree to the above recommended change to the delegated officer expenditure authorisation limits. Please, can I have a proposer? Councillor Nonoff. And a seconder, Councillor Scott. And please, can I have all councillors in favour? That's unanimous as well. So the following items are to note. Questions may be asked for clarification purposes only. So item 10, financial administration, which you'll find on pages 25 to 30 of your report. to receive a report from the Director of Finance, RFO, regarding the audit of accounts payable and bank reconciliations for months 12 and 1, and an update on investment interest portfolio. Investment interest. Copy attached.
Thank you, Chair. So this report provides councillors with the assurance that an independent audit of accounts payable for months 12 and month 1 has been completed. Auditing Solutions confirmed that all sampled payments were processed correctly with no issues identified. As at April the 30th, 26, the council held a total balances of approximately 5.54 million across its bank accounts and investments. This includes 2.83 million in the Lloyds Instant Access account, 2.71 million held in other investments. The council's investments are diversified across several funds, including 1 million in the DMADF Instant Fund, 500,000 each in BlackRock and Invesco, 250,000 in the Morgan Stanley, 250,000 in the CCLA Public Sector Fund, and approximately 214,000 in the CCLA Property Fund. These investments are currently achieving returns in the region of between 4 and 6%, reflecting a strong and stable performance. Following the closure of the CCLA Better World Fund, funds have been successfully reinvested into the DMADF Fund. Interest earned so far in the current financial year amounts to 5,585, which is just for 1 month. And this will continue to be monitored as part of the ongoing Treasury management. In terms of revenue, the council has received the first instalment of the annual precept in April, with the second due in September. Other income streams continue to be received throughout the year and are monitored monthly. Expenditure is also reviewed monthly with regular reporting to this committee to ensure budgets remain well and controlled. There's no staff in financial or legal or quality environmental implications arising from this report. And as the Chair mentioned, this is a report just to note. Thank you, Chair.
So, noting that this is just to note, are there any comments or questions from councillors? So, Councillor Scott first and then Councillor Pantis.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just an observation really more for purposes of minuting around stating no financial implications of respect to the report. Obviously, it does allude to the fact that we have closed one of the funds, which happened to be the one that, as of last meeting, was about £13,000 in terms of loss. It's hard to note because of precept coming down, and assumedly that will be in amongst what's sat in the bank account as to what that loss ended up being at the point of closing the fund. But I think, it is what it is, and that is, what comes with investing in funds. But I think just for transparency around financial implication, obviously was a loss there that we did take as a council, that's my understanding.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I can confirm that when I reinvested the fund, I got back just over 192,000, plus the interest that we'd received on that fund throughout the time. So yes, there was a small loss.
Councillor Pantis?
Yeah, just a question about FSCS. Where do the business incident account, access account with Lloyds, does that come under the FSCS £120,000 limit for protection?
So we've been through this with the auditor. It does, but it's not 120, it's 85,000, which is again why we try and invest as much as we can elsewhere. So do business accounts, they've not just been increased like personal accounts to 120? No.
Oh.
I haven't been advised that from Lloyds yet, no.
So,
but I can check that out. I will check that out.
So does that put the majority of that 2.8 million at risk?
So that account we call our sweeping account. So that account feeds our current account, which is where all our bills and expenditure come from. So at any one time, we're feeding into that. So the date that was put through, there was a higher amount in there. If I looked at that today, it is a lot lower. But I do regularly keep an eye on that account, that bank account, and if it is too high, then I will reinvest into another quick liquid fund.
Yeah, we always hope that that will never happen, but then,
Yep.
you know, it did once, didn't it? So.
Any more questions or comments? So are we happy to note this report? All in favour? Also unanimous. So moving on to item 11, items for communication. To consider any items for communication from this meeting to the residents. Do we have any items for communications to the residents? Not seeing any. And then to consider any questions or actions to refer to the Youth Council for their debate or opinion. Do we have any questions or actions for the Youth Council for their response? Not on this occasion. So moving on to item 12, which is date of the next meeting. The next meeting of this committee will take place on Wednesday, the 9th of September, 2026 at 7 p.m. And I declare this meeting closed.